Welcome to this explainer. Today we're diving into something pretty incredible. Our completely free tool, deliberate cold exposure, can permanently reset your brain's baseline for focus and alertness. We're going to unpack how simply getting cold can literally rewire your neural circuits for peak cognitive performance. Today, we're going to cover the crisis of distraction, dopamine as the focus conductor, cold logic, the Masterclass Protocol, and finally, timing and important caveats. But before we get started, if you're interested in science-based tools and neuroscience insights that can improve your focus, performance, and quality of life, make sure you're subscribed to Neural Tools. And stick around until the very end of this video, because I'm going to leave you with one question that could completely change the way you think about your own focus and mental performance. Let's jump right in. Section 1, the crisis of distraction and why we're losing our cone of attention. Have you ever felt like your mind is just a cloud? You sit down to do something important, and suddenly your brain is everywhere except on the task in front of you. It feels like you simply can't lock in. Trust me, this is a universal struggle. Science actually has a specific name for this phenomenon. It's called the low dopamine hypothesis. When dopamine levels run low, your neural circuits begin to suffer. Neurons start firing more than necessary. As a result, your brain fills up with task-unrelated noise. This is what creates that constant urge to stand up, walk around, or check your phone for the 100th time, when all you really need to do is sit still and focus, which brings us to Section 2, dopamine, focus conductor and the organizer of your brain's symphony. If we're going to solve the distraction problem, we need to let go of some old assumptions. Dopamine isn't simply a pleasure or reward chemical. When it comes to deep focus, dopamine acts as the conductor of your brain's entire symphony. It's the system that helps determine which neural circuits become active and when, and its effects are remarkably powerful. When dopamine levels are healthy and appropriately elevated, your visual world seems to narrow into a highly focused tunnel of attention. Everything unrelated fades into the background. But when dopamine is low, your brain becomes flooded with distracting neural noise. And that restless feeling we talked about becomes much stronger. All of this contributes to an important biological state known as exteroception. This is the state of directing your attention outward. It's exactly the state you need to perform complex tasks effectively. It means your focus is entirely on the outside world, not on your thoughts, not on your physical sensations. That is the true goal of deep work. And dopamine is one of the keys that helps unlock it. Now let's move into Section 3. The cold logic and harnessing hormetic stress. At this point, you might be wondering, how do we biologically push our brains into this highly focused state? The answer is deliberate cold exposure. Cold exposure activates something called hormetic stress. This is a beneficial biological stressor. By intentionally exposing yourself to the cold, you're taking greater control over your own biology. It naturally increases epinephrine, also known as adrenaline. At the same time, it sharpens the neural circuits involved in focus and helps reset your mental baseline. But here's where things get really interesting. Sugar and energy drinks can create sharp spikes in dopamine, but those spikes are often followed by equally sharp crashes. Cold water immersion works differently. It creates a slower and more sustained increase in dopamine. That effect can last for hours after you leave the water. In other words, you're creating a strong foundation for focus throughout the rest of your day. Now let's move to Section 4, the Masterclass Protocol for rewiring your brain through cold. Ideally, immersing yourself up to your neck in cold water is the most effective approach. Let's be realistic. Most people don't have access to a dedicated cold plunge. If all you have is a cold shower, that's perfectly fine. Think of it as a highly uncomfortable but highly effective version of the same tool. Now let's go through the steps. Step 1. If possible, get into cold water up to your neck. The water should be cold enough to feel uncomfortable. You should genuinely want to get out, but safety should always come first. Step 2. Remain in that discomfort for 1 to 3 minutes. That's enough time to trigger increases in dopamine and adrenaline. Step 3. This part is extremely important. Keep your arms and legs moving slightly. If you remain completely still, a thin layer of warmer water forms around your skin. That layer reduces the effectiveness of the cold stimulus. So continue moving gently throughout the exposure. Now let's move into section 5, timing and important caveats. If you want to do this safely and effectively, there are a few important guidelines to remember. First, morning exposure is generally considered the best option. A cold shock early in the day may increase your ability to tolerate stress, helping you feel calmer and more resilient later in the afternoon. The water should always be safe, but it should also be sufficiently cold. And if you're interested in fitness, there's one important rule to remember. If your goal is muscle hypertrophy or building larger muscles, you should wait at least 4 hours after your workout before using cold exposure. Using cold exposure immediately after training may interfere with some of the biological signals involved in muscle growth. However, when applied consistently and at the appropriate time, this protocol becomes much more than a simple morning wake-up tool. For training your brain to remain calm even when adrenaline levels are elevated. The ability to stay calm under pressure is one of the defining characteristics of deep focus. So I'll leave you with one final thought. Are you going to use this cold logic protocol simply as a way to get a temporary boost? Or are you going to use it as a tool to train your brain to remain focused when the pressure is at its highest? If you found this information valuable, be sure to hit the like button and share this video with someone who wants better focus, stronger discipline, and improved mental performance. For more science-based explainers and practical neuroscience tools, subscribe to Neural Tools. And let me know in the comments, are you willing to try the cold logic protocol tomorrow morning? Thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you in the next video.